Streaming. Finally, we are completely back up and running. We are ready to go, and the router is fixed and alive and operating at optimal wavelengths here. So we are finally back here on episode 2, trying to make our way all the way to the end of all the different bosses that are in Code Vein with their different techniques and our stories of how we've gotten through. So joining me today is our special guest DeathKiller, since we didn't get to finish last time all the way. So welcome back, DeathKiller. I believe he's in his closet, so this will be great to have a closet stream. And Pseudo, welcome back to you. Thank you for joining us today again. And Pseudo is currently making his way through his hardcore gifts only run. So if you're interested in watching his progress, head on over to his channel. It's linked in the description there, and you should have a good time following his progress. So welcome to both of you again, and sorry for the problems we've had with the router and everything, but it's good to have you guys back, and we will be picking up again here with the successor of the rib cage.
Oh yeah. One of my favorite bosses. I kind of like Successor of the Ribcage because it's just dodging spells left and right, and you feel untouchable when you get it right.
Yeah, I definitely, she was one of them that when I first got to her, the most obvious thing was just get weapons and go for it. Like, I had no idea what I was doing with all the gifts, but it was it was mostly just getting close, wail away, and see how much damage you can do in a short amount of time. And I was not disappointed by that tactic at all. But the dodging everything is crazy with how much it's kind of like bullet hell on steroids.
Yeah. So let's just dive directly straight into it. Successor of the Ribcage has got 2 phases, and once you get past the first phase, you will always start on the second phase until you beat her outright. It's actually kind of difficult to gain focus during the fight because she has precisely 1 melee attack, and all the rest is just spells.
Well, I guess you can attain focus, right, by getting hit so much.
Well, that's true. That is true. You could try to block the spells, but when spells are coming at you from every angle, maybe that's not the wisest.
Agreed. Yeah, I was really upset with trying to dodge, and I was like, yeah, this focus is not going to happen on this fight. Because, yeah, that one attack, it comes out so rarely. The lightning swipe, that you just can't count on it.
The double karate chop, right? So she's actually has somewhat interesting resistances. In phase 1, it's only lightning. But in phase 2, she's resistant to both lightning and fire.
Yeah, and go ahead.
Partially resistant to ice and blood. Yeah, just partially resistant to ice and blood.
Yeah, it's much better. It's much better to just stick with ice and blood if you can, through both phases, as much as possible. I mean, sometimes it's not possible, but you're wasting a lot of your damage potential if you do go for lightning or fire.
Physical damage isn't that big of a... Isn't that difficult to decide. She's weak to crush. Plain and simple.
And I don't know if you knew about her flame transition, but when she moves to the other side of the arena, that is a really, 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 really good time to go for damage. When her arms come up and the flame starts, that's the beginning of the window of damage increase. And all of her weaknesses to physical damage go, I guess, negative, much more, about 4 times as much, almost. And so you can really, really, really wallop her hard. And that's when you should be waiting for her to do something, is when she's in that flame transition, when she's going from one side of the arena to the other. And during that window, you can inflict huge, massive damage.
Yeah, just toss a spell on in there and hope for the best. speaking of spells and statuses, more specifically, she is weak to poison and slow, but she's immune to both inhibit and stun, which I secretly wanted to see a wildly convulsing wolf lady, but well, there's other bosses that are incredibly comical when stunned, so I'm all right.
Yeah, it's interesting that she can't be inhibited because that would be like the ultimate win for her, especially if you could get rid of all the different craziness that's going around tracking you, especially the Elder Contract Blood Pillar that comes up from underneath you, especially if that one could go away. Oh man, it would be quite the time for sure. But
that is a very dangerous move. Yeah, she likes to grab you if you're too close and then blast you with the Elder Contract. In fact, having Elder Contract followed by Indra's Coil, the lightning bolt spell, you'll get staggered and stun locked and then just get blasted into oblivion. I've died that way so many times.
Yeah, and there's like a delayed explosion hitbox on that Elder Contract when it comes up, so you might think you're far enough away, and then after the pillar comes up, the active window is still there, and so you can still be hit by it even if you dodge back into it, which is sometimes it's just whatever.
Yeah, that's happened to me. Well, honestly, the best advice I have for good opportunities to heal would be to go between teleports. If you don't have any spells on you, you just want to melee her to death, just heal up during the in between the teleports. Or go around to her backside. Besides that, you should try and bait out the karate chop, the double karate chop, if you want a really good opportunity.
Yeah, I typically forget when those healing windows are because I'm constantly panicked by trying to get away from everything that's happening throughout the arena, that I'm like, oh no, I don't know when to heal is a good time or when not to. So that's really good advice for sure.
Another tactic you can do is you can convince her to turn to face you instead of casting another spell, and that'll give you a few seconds reprieve. If you're behind her and you see her start to turn like she wants to face you, that's another healing opportunity, but you got to be quick.
I think we need a gift to increase the healing speed. That would be awesome. But then,
too.
Yeah,
if they're listening.
Yeah, that would be incredible.
Let's make it happen.
Even if it was like 25% increase or something.
Yeah, that is one chief complaint, is that people are like, healing is so slow. Yeah, that's just how it is in Code Vein.
Yep.
You get used to it.
Yeah, you do. You learn the windows and the openings.
Right. So everyone's favorite Rocket Knight, Successor of the Breath.
Wait, we're not going to talk about the shield?
Oh right, yeah, the shield. Her little foul blood barrier she gets in phase 2.
Yeah.
It is possible to shatter that. I stole your thunder. It is possible to shatter it.
And that's excellent. I'm glad you did. So there's two ways to shatter the there's several ways to shatter the shield in that second fight after you get through phase 1, I guess. One way is to use a drain attack, either a charge attack or a quick drain, and that'll take the shield down in one hit. It doesn't matter what veil you use, they all do the same thing. Another way to get through the shield is to hack and slash your way through it with about, I think it's like 20 attacks or something like that before you can get through it. With weapons, with heavier weapons, it's a lot less. I think it's around 10, something like that. It's a lot less with weapons, but then there is a third way to get through it, and that is if you pair Sonic Arrow with Merciless Reaper, and it has to be paired together. If you use just Sonic Arrow, it won't do anything. It'll take you several attacks to get through it, but if you pair it with Merciless Reaper, it counts as an attack, going through the shield, and for some reason it takes it down instantaneously. So when you're in phase 2, you definitely want to have that active. And if you don't, that's fine. You can use your blood veil. So there's several ways to take it down, but yeah, it definitely is quite the shield, as it nullifies all incoming damage. And Pseudo, I think without that knowledge on your first playthrough, gifts only, you had a pretty rough time of that, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I definitely did. I most certainly did. Because, like I said, I was trying to block to regain Ichor so I could deal damage to her.
Oof.
And the spells just come from every direction. So, yeah, you can. It's very easy to be overwhelmed. Honestly, I think I just got lucky. Second time through, after I learned the trick with Sonic Arrow, it was way easier.
Yeah, it makes it kind of a joke.
Thank you for teaching me that one.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Maybe the shield has its own health, is one of the comments here. I don't think it's necessarily about a health like item. I think it just has to do with the fact that the interaction with Merciless Reaper, since it reduces the significance of the shield by 75%, that as you hit it with Sonic Arrow, it takes it completely down, because it's based on resistance levels, not like the amount of attacks after that. So I don't know. It's a conundrum, but it works. And if you're having problems with it, definitely do that. So that is the successor of the Ribcage. Definitely an interesting boss for sure, and one of the more bizarre ones. But the next one we have is the successor of the Breath. And so
now
you wanted to lead off?
Shield.
Yeah, now talk about his shield. Everybody's got shields this time, so. Oh, sorry, Pseudo, were you gonna?
Yeah, I got this. So it's 2 phases. He cannot be parried, and that shield he's using, like the actual physical shield itself, will block 50% of damage from any attack in phase 1. Of course, he tosses it away at the beginning of phase 2, and starts with some really tricky attacks. Predictably, as he is the boss of the ice area, he's weak to fire.
Which
and
I think
notably has no resistance to lightning.
Oh, that is interesting. Because ice, I guess you wouldn't think it neutral to lightning.
Way I see it, he's just a huge suit of armor, so the metal in the armor would conduct the electricity.
Oh, that's a good point. That is a good point. I didn't think about that. And I'm an electrical engineer, so
it seems so simple now.
I'm more into radars and stuff, though, you know. Not necessarily like zapping things with electricity, so. But oops. Yeah, I'm not a lightning expert, that's for sure. But yeah, the successor of the Breath, I think he's a pretty cool fight, because coming off of something like the successor of the Ribcage, where a lot of the stuff is not really telegraphed like exceptionally well, like things are just happening and you're just trying to dodge and you're trying to get out of the way, you're trying to get away, maybe you're trying to just survive. And the successor of the Breath is completely different than that, because you have to actually read what he's doing. But once you do read him and learn it, then man, you understand what he's doing and when he's doing it. All his little movements, they actually predict exactly what he's going to be doing next. So it's a completely different mechanic, different everything than what the successor of the Ribcage is altogether. So as soon as you get to Nicola, it's like, whoa, this is all very, very different than what we were just fighting. And everything happens kind of one attack at a time. And fighting Aurora, man, it's just like everything's happening all at once, all over the arena. You don't know what you're trying to dodge away from or anything. And Nicola is a completely different breath of fresh air. Sorry.
I'm leaving.
Sorry.
I'm leaving.
Sorry.
I'm leaving. Right. Well,
Oh
back to
man.
business. I'm down from that one. Yeah, Pierce is the most effective element against him, physical wise. It's the most effective physical type of damage. Whatever you do, just don't use slash. Slash is bad.
Yeah, and I see so many
Uh,
people running in there with their Queenslayer sword or something like that. It's like, oh man, you're leaving a lot of damage on the table. Shouldn't be using that.
yeah, my Queenslayer sword's nice otherwise.
Agreed.
No, I remember I had a much easier time fighting him with a Rubelite Piercer because all I did was just poke him to death.
Well, that'll do
Even
it.
though blood damage was absolute garbage. But hey, it killed him. In the end, it killed him for
And that's
that
all
first
you
time
need.
through. hmm Now, he doesn't have any status immunities. All of the status debuffs will work on him, but he is particularly weak to inhibit for what it's worth. Not like he really throws around a lot of spells, but, if you want to inhibit him, he's really easy to inhibit. See, that's the
Which,
problem is if it's not stun or poison, this slow and inhibit are kind of not great.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I wonder, so, if you would use inhibit, I mean, the only thing that goes away is his ice barrage. So, is it really worth it?
Well, it also gets rid of one of the best healing opportunities in his Aurora Flash Ice Blade spell. That's a really, really good telegraphed, really easy to dodge healing opportunity. But I'm getting ahead of myself.
What do you mean?
We'll talk about healing opportunities in a bit.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah. The other thing about actually going for Nicola is the weird thing is that Mia is actually the best option of a partner that you can go for against him because she does all the pierce damage in her Fusillade Rondo and her bullet shots, and she's actually a pretty good shot against big targets like somebody like Nicola. So, I mean, Louis does have his fire stuff, but it's pretty interesting that she is like doing the ideal damage versus her brother, which you wouldn't think that would be the case, that family would be good against each other, but in their case it really is the way to do it. So kind of interesting. And DeathKiller,
Yeah,
are you still with us?
Yeah, I am definitely still with you.
Okay. I was like, maybe something happened in the closet there that we need to call 911 about or something.
Nope, I've transferred from the closet to underneath the covers of a bed.
Oh, okay.
Hey, that'll work. That'll work.
Snuggling up for the night is a nice place to be. Not that I want to be there
I
with
guess
you.
while I'm at it, I might get my 2 cents on Nicola while I patiently give you the side eye from your awful pun that you gave us earlier.
I am a dad, don't forget.
Deep breaths after that one. As for Nicola, I didn't find him too hard, if I'm being honest. I can't quite remember if I died to him or not.
You probably
He
didn't.
might be one of my more favorite bosses in terms of character. But gameplay wise, he's your generic, slow moving, hard hitting, jetpack boosting boss.
They always have the jetpack. They always have the jetpack.
And you mentioned that he's weak to slash. I wish I knew that before I fought him.
Oh no, do not use slash. Yeah, slash is bad. I suffered immensely.
Yeah, as I used a one-handed sword my entire playthrough 4 times in a row.
Mm-hmm. Hey, they're good weapons for the most part. There's a couple of bosses where it's tough, but for the most part, they're good weapons.
I don't remember any attacks I might have got stuck on, but for the most part, he was pretty telegraphic in what he's going to do.
Well, for phase 1, you always want to expect the shield spin Like whenever he jumps at you or does his little boost push with his shield, always expect a follow-up spin.
Yeah, and if you don't get it, then good. You know, you just got lucky.
Yeah. Yeah. You always want to keep an eye on the ice spray that he does with his antler, his singular antler. And because there's a brief moment of time where he will do a 180 and bait you into dodging directly into it. So if you just wait for a second and see what he's going to do, if he does nothing, like if he doesn't move, then it's just going to come up straight ahead. If he starts shuffling around on the ice, like with his antler in the ground, he's going to whip it around a direction.
I like that saying. If he's shuffling around on the ice, it makes me think of my childhood in the winter when we would play hockey, and we would all be out there shuffling around on the ice. Anyways, sorry, reminiscing here.
Yeah, that really takes me back to my first time when I fought another person on the ice when I was a successor. But no, teach their own.
When I was a successor, this is how I did things.
I'm sure it comes as a surprise, but how does a child be so proficient in hand-to-hand combat?
You know, I never thought about that, and that terrifies me.
I don't know.
Sleep on that one.
I don't think I can sleep on that one. Oh, be cautious though. In phase 2, he will never run out of stamina when throwing hands. He'll just sit there and punch until you run out of stamina. Until you're the one who gets tired and can't dodge. He will just continuously punch. Only way to get him to stop really is to get around behind him and force him to stand up and then turn around.
Or actually get far enough away for him to change into a different kind of an attack. But yeah, if you keep going circles, oh man, he'll just continue following you around the merry-go-round, punch after punch after punch after punch. The cool thing is though, for all of his regular attacks that hit you, except the rocket jump, all of his attacks are ice-based, even his punches. So if you have higher than 160 ice defense, then you'll be invincible to his punches, which is pretty nice.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, his
makes sense though.
His big armor is ice armor. So again, Artemis, Mia, she's got ice armor. So very, very strange that she is the antithesis to Nicola.
Plus, you get a healthy amount of ice chrome as you make your way through there. It'd be a piece of cake.
For sure. So yeah, little bits of knowledge there, if you didn't know about it. But yeah, his rocket jump is actually something that when he goes in the air way up high, you can actually iframe dodge the explosion when he comes down, so that can help you get closer to him to re-engage. Otherwise, just stay away and let him come to you, and that'll be probably one of the best ways to make sure that you actually get through it. Did you have something?
Actually,
go ahead.
Actually, yeah, that iframing that move is a good opportunity to heal. Same for after whenever he does his shield spin in the first phase. If you're always expecting it, you'll basically always have an opportunity to heal. For phase 2, I already kind of mentioned it, the Aurora Flash Ice Blade move, where he just summons a big ice blade and sweeps it horizontally. Yeah, real easy to dodge that and heal up. But the real terror are the Boreal Brutes. They are evil incarnate. You need either fire damage or crush damage to shatter their armor, ideally both. And of
Fortunately,
course,
they're not part of the boss fight.
Yeah. Oh, they're a boss to themselves in the depths.
Yeah.
Let's not kid ourselves. That is one of the hardest fights in the entire depths.
Yeah, the double Boreal Brute, that is crazy difficult. Even if you have 2 Revenants going in, or even 3, they are very difficult. They are very dangerous, and they will kill. They are not afraid to kill.
mercilessly. So yeah, crush and fire is what you use to shatter their armor. But what's notable is that they will almost always try to buff up with that armor the moment they become focused for that first time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see them start glowing blue, you know that the ice armor is coming up soon. So be ready.
Yeah, and the 160 idea is completely thrown out the window with them, and you need way higher ice resistance to be invincible to them, and it's not worth it to try because there are very few codes and veils that can actually get you there. So it's in your best interest to just dodge away, be as safe as possible because they just hit like trucks in especially when they get that armor up and they have I forget it's like a 115% ice resist. So if you use anything ice, you're almost increasing their health. It's crazy how much ice resist they have.
Yeah. Now, if you make your way to the through the City of Falling Flames and pick up Ember Reversal, that's actually a pretty good way of shattering their armor too. Because it's just so much fire damage out so quickly, 2 quick casts of Ember Reversal will shatter their armor like clockwork. So that's another way of getting rid of the armor.
Yeah, and that's go ahead.
Speaking of Birdie Kitty City, how about we get back on track here?
Yeah, right. Well, before that is Gilderoy the Golden Boy. Can't forget about him. He's got 2 phases. One move can be parried in basically both of them. Basically stack blood resist and use turtle strats for phase 2. That's the best advice I can possibly give.
Yeah, he does have one move that's an unblockable, and it's the like dash forward where he twirls his halberd in a spinning fashion, and there's glowy bits that flash all around him. That move, it's unblockable, so it's you have to actually dodge it or get hit by the first attack and then lay on the ground to make sure that you are not up in time for the second for the second attack to come through. But other than that, yeah, you can block everything he has, which is pretty nice for your first playthrough, especially.
I'm sure Pseudo can advocate, but using stun.
that just makes Pseudo's day every time.
Yes, indeed. Stunning him is hilarious. I don't know why it makes me laugh so hard, but he just looks so goofy. Just as soon as you inflict stun. I love it. But yeah, he doesn't have any status immunities either. He is weak to slow, which I mean kind of makes sense because it goes into like Ultra Instinct Super Saiyan mode in phase 2, so slow is supposed to be good. But once he gets into that, where he starts buffing himself, he will instantly cure any buildup.
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta be real quick on applying the stun. So quick, it's kind of not even worth it. So just stick to physical and elemental damage rather than trying to debuff him.
Yeah, and he does have a very specific point at when he transitions to his speedy form. But the fun thing is that a lot of times you can stagger him in phase 1 and blow away a huge amount of health before he gets to that speedy phase. So sometimes you can take advantage of that, and other times your stuff is on cooldown, so you don't actually have that opportunity. So sometimes the fight can go very quick, and other times the fight can drag on and on.
Yeah, because he's constantly buffed, and you constantly have to keep on your toes so you don't die while he's in hyper mode, and yeah, it can really get out of hand really quickly. The only really weakness he has, like the other hunters in black, is he's weak to ice, but oddly, it's only in phase 2.
Yeah.
But for Pierce, so Pierce and ice. So just basically arm up your frost spikes and your barrages and go to town.
or your Icarus Ice that you got from Aurora. That is a fantastic gift to bring to the table for him, because they bounce all over the place. They come back and hit him. It's very, very good.
Oh yeah.
And one of your favorite weapons, Pseudo, the Impaler, is fantastic versus this guy. I never really used the Impaler too much. It's one of those weapons that, because I had the Cerulean Spear, I just kind of didn't enjoy it as much, because it's more of a dex based, and I like the Cerulean Spear version because it's more strength based, and strength codes are a lot more, I guess, frequently common and easily attainable, more so than dex codes for for just how they're built. And so I always was a Cerulean Spear boy instead of an Impaler. But that's just me.
The Impaler, reason I like it is because that's the only vanilla spear.
True.
Usually whenever I'm doing my challenge runs, I don't do any of the DLC stuff or any of the pre-order stuff. So the Cerulean Spear is off limits to me. But believe me, Ishtar's Cerulean Spear is one of the best builds you can use for heading to the Tower of Trials.
Yeah.
It's very effective in Tower of Trials too.
The Black Halberd does have some piercing attacks on it, but you have to kind of alternate your attack pattern, because it's not just, well, for me it's left click for quick attacks. It's not just a series of quick attack piercing. So, but the Black Halberd is
tactical about it.
Yeah, is a great halberd. But yeah, the Gilded Hunter, definitely he was a problem, and then they released Radiant Barrel, and when I first found that it just one-shots him on any difficulty, regardless of how much damage you're doing, it completely obliterates him, and it's so amazing that at any level in the game, pretty much any time that you have access to Radiant Barrel, he just disappears. And you just gotta wait for him to move out of his damage reduction, and Radiant Barrel takes care of him. So I was so happy when I first found that out.
Cool. Now I've got a new favorite way of dealing with you, Gilderoy the Golden Boy. So let's get down to the most important part. This fight is all about blocking and healing. There's only one really good opportunity to heal in both phases, and that's right when he's doing the AoE blast. What you can do is you can iframe it by dodging at the perfect time, and 9 times out of 10 he will jump back instead of continuing to attack you. Now, it's not 100% foolproof, but it is close. Oftentimes, if you get in his face and heal, he'll jump backwards. You can exploit that. But if you can get him to stop his onslaught in phase 2 when he's in hyper mode, if you can get him to stop his onslaught and turn around and face you, yeah, that's also a good opportunity. And you take those. If you are absolutely about dead and it's a choice between healing and waiting for the iframe explosion, and he stands up and turns, go for the heal. But he's gonna have his animation sped up, so you're gonna have to be real quick on the heal. And I feel like a broken record saying that, so just assume from now on, if you need to heal on the boss, just wait for them to stop moving and turn to face you.
Yeah, I never learned that. I just dodged as much as possible, go for quick mobility. I'm completely the opposite of the blocking. I really didn't enjoy blocking in the game at all, and so for me it's dodge as much as possible, and then just get out of range, and then make him come to me, and then dodge back to the other side of the arena. I just never got the hang of blocking. I never really enjoyed it. It kind of took some of the fun out of the game for me, having to sit there and just let people hit you. But it's just me.
But you're weathering a flurry of blows. You're not just sitting there doing nothing.
Oh, that's true.
You are enduring.
Enduring. Okay. Yeah, and I hate enduring. That is not for me.
How do you usually fare, DeathKiller? How do you usually fare against Gilderoy the Golden Boy? We need a decisive vote here, because Owen and I are torn. Turtles or Tinkerbells. Teleport dodges or slow and steady. Emphasis on slow.
I like the alliteration there, Pseudo. That was good.
I try.
I didn't like Gilderoy Hunter for the most part. Being new to the game, he was quite an obstacle.
Really?
Especially in phase 2. He was just so merciless, and I wasn't used to fast-paced combat until his fight. It was mainly just a brute force challenge and how long I can survive if I can kill him before I'm dead.
I think that's what they're kind of, yeah.
Now, to settle your dispute, I was more of a try to dodge and get out of the way.
DeathKiller's a smart man.
I guess that's how I got so far. But I didn't block for the most part, mainly because I just used a one-handed sword, so I couldn't negate every attack like I would with Claymore.
Right, yeah. Well, you can with Steady Bulwark. Steady Bulwark is amazing for that.
It just felt more natural to dodge as the game intended.
Yeah, especially for folks coming from Dark Souls, where everything's fairly slow, and there's no real way to really speed up the combat, versus some of the bosses. Whereas this guy, he takes everything up to like level 15 speed, and if you're not used to that kind of pace of combat, then man, it can really tear you up.
Yeah, Code Vein is pretty fast, but even Gilderoy the Golden Boy is fast in Code Vein.
Right? I wish I had what he had before the fight.
Get some super espresso. That sounds fantastic. Super espresso. Right, so, Burning Kitty City. The boss of which, Emily. She's got 2 phases. She can be buried.
Everything is just fire. Everything is fire.
Oh yeah, that's why we affectionately call it Burning Kitty City. Everything's fire here.
And I appreciate that. As for the first time I heard that, I was like, yes, that is what this is.
So she does have one move that can be parried. It is the horizontal swipes. She'll do one going from one side and then swipe back again going from the other side. Dodge the first swipe and parry the second. And 9 times out of 10, she won't follow up. And you'll just sit there and parry like an idiot. So
really?
No real advice. Yeah. You can honestly, blocking it with a heavy weapon and then parrying the follow-up is a lot better than trying to dodge and parry, because if she's not gonna follow up if you dodge out of the way. So yeah, it's sort of annoying to get a parry on her, but it can be done.
Yeah, you know way more about the parries, because I never do the parries on the bosses almost ever.
Honestly, I get hit a lot, so I probably shouldn't. But so with 165 resistance, none of that matters. She just can't hurt you.
Correct.
Now, it's a shame you don't get Elemental Wall until after her fight. But with a Fire Tonic, a Fire Veil, and Fire Guard from Dark Knight, the blood code you get for killing Gilded Hunter, you're pretty well set. She just can't hurt you while you have the tonic active.
Which is pretty sad, because that means everybody on their first playthrough, Emily is really literally a free boss that no one should ever struggle with. But the problem is you don't know about that on your first playthrough, and so you kind of are feeling it out for the first time, and unfortunately, it's not widely advertised that that's the case. But that is really, really funny that they put all the tools in the game to literally make her a joke, and you can bypass her and just ignore it as a boss and just say, okay, now I'm here, I'll just run to the end, fight Emily, and then be done. Like, that's so weird.
I wonder if it's one of those bosses where they're like, you know what, this area sucks, we're just gonna let them have an easy boss.
It could have been. It could have been.
So, predictably, as the boss of the fire area, she's weak to ice, with no real resistances to either blood or lightning, but ice is definitely your best bet.
Yeah.
She likewise has no resistance to crush damage. So good old freezing roar is how you do the damage to her. The big damage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, freezing roar, and let's see, you could probably go with the Queenslayer Greatsword Ice, and that would get you crush as well, and that would be two really good things to go for. I guess you could have let's see. Well, I mean, there's a couple of veils. I guess you could have the Hedgehog Forts and the Queenslayer Greatsword, both with ice, and then or the veil with fire, and then you'd be in pretty good shape there to actually have good defense, good dark value, and pretty good weapon value as well. Anyways, just theory crafting on the go here. It's always fun for me.
Sounds suspiciously similar to your first playthrough from what you've told me.
Oh yeah. I love the Queenslayer Greatsword. That was an incredible sword the first time I played through with it. After I played through the first time, I was like, I want to see what else is in the game, and then after that, I was just hooked.
Nice. Right. So, status debuffs. She actually has no status immunities. She's weakest to poison. So, like, she's weak to poison. You don't even need a status debuff build up or venom cartridges. You can just go in there with a venom weapon and a venom transformation and easily poison her repeatedly. Like she really is one of the easier bosses. Honestly, in phase 2, the teleport attacks, it'll always start from outside your camera angle. So keep it tracked on her. If she completely disappears, she's coming from directly above. Otherwise, you'll see her come from one of the two sides or dead on. It's pretty rare for her to go dead on, though. But the rest of the attacks really don't make that much of a difference.
Yeah.
She can't damage you.
And you can take really, so on that point of her dashing across the arena, you can make really good use of her flame trail, because it will get you focused literally immediately. And so if you are running any kind of focus-based build or something, you can just run into her little flame trail, just like the Blade Bearer, or just like the Cannoneer's flame pool, and you can utilize a really good focus build if you need to do something like that. And if you're paired up for it correctly, then it can really enhance your experience. But if not, then it's just something that you ignore altogether because you'll probably be taking damage from it. So just little interesting things to know about some of the environmental things that are going on around you that you may not pay attention to when you're actually in the fight.
I think we've pretty much gone inside and out with her. The only thing worth noting is the blue dudes. So the real question then becomes, who is tougher, the blue dudes or Emily? Because the blue dudes are kind of like the Boreal Brutes. They do more fire damage than can be easily resisted.
Yeah, I think they are more of the boss of the area because there's one where you get the Noble Silver and one right before finishing out the area. And they kind of are like skill and knowledge checks almost at different points just to make sure that you're, aware that there are enemies out there that are difficult.
That do a lot of fire. No amount of fire resistance will save you.
That's right. Yeah, they are really tough. I think their name is a Blazing Heretic, if I remember right. I always call them the Flame Atronax, but yeah.
To me, they're just blue dudes. They always have been and always will be. Just blue dudes.
Demandre says he'd rather fight the blue dudes than the Boreal Brutes. What do you guys think?
Ooh, that's a toughie. I'm gonna have to think on it.
I think
Demandre is wrong in that.
Oh really? I think I agree with him. I would rather fight the blue dudes for sure. Because the brutes.
In all fairness, I hate the brutes.
Yeah,
so much.
me too.
I think the brutes just deal a mountain of damage very quickly, whereas the blue dudes they do high damage, but they kind of like chop you down. They don't like punch you in the face like a semi truck. They're more death of a handful of cuts rather than 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
But a handful nonetheless.
So after the City of the Falling Flame, we get to the Crown of Sand, and here we fight all the crusty bugmen that you can possibly imagine. You also have the Dust Bandits, and then you run
and
into
the albino bugmen.
Oh yeah, and the big huge albinos, and then you get to the successor of the Throat, which is my personal favorite in the game. But how did you guys think of it on that run back when you first got into the game, and you had to run all the way back up the hill, listening to Eva sing?
I want to mention this is going to be more of a simp section than analysis for you.
and I don't care, and I'm fine with that. You guys can laugh all you want.
What gamer girl bathwater? That's just a bunch of wet sand, huh? That's what you're telling us?
Hey, I'll take wet sand, whatever. I don't care.
But it'll sap your lifeblood away.
That's fine.
Yeah, she's got 2 phases. She can't be parried, and blocking is a bad idea because of the leak. Like the leak can be very troublesome at times, but I mean, just don't get hit, forehead. Just don't get hit. the stupid simplistic solution is to just avoid getting hit, and with a little bit of practice, you'll be able to dodge her spells perfectly. She's like a second Aurora.
Yeah. But she's Eva, so she's nothing like Aurora. Aurora is trash compared to Eva.
Ooh, shots fired. Shots fired.
Well, DeathKiller did warn you. I cannot be objective about this at all.
All right, so let's talk resistances. Lay it on me.
All right, so the best thing you want to be doing.
I always get it wrong.
The best thing you want to be doing is slash. In here, she does resist all. She resists all physical damage. She has got a 10% slash resist, a 25% pierce resist, and a 25% crush resist in phase 1. And so you don't want to be doing any kind of physical damage other than slash, which is the exact opposite of Nicola. And so I don't know why I'm saying that, but that's just really interesting how they get you used to a certain point in the game, and then they flip it on you and say, nope, you were using that thing, now you've got to use something different. So they really keep you on your toes. She's got a 0% ice resist in both phase 1 and 2, so you want to be going for ice and slash as much as possible. Do not use lightning. I see a lot of people going for lightning against her. She's got a 40% lightning resist, and that is compounded by her physical resistance, and so you want to make sure that you're just not doing any kind of lightning, because if you go for something like lightning crush, let's see here real quick, that would be 1.25 times 1.4, that'd be 75% damage reduction in your whatever gift you're going for, something like blast bolt. Yeah, not a good idea. So
yeah, blast bolt hits multiple times. It's not one big chunk of damage, so you're
correct.
Huge damage reduction.
Yeah, so ice slash all the way. There's really no bones about it. You just that's all you want to do, and you can be close to her to do that ice slash. So if you have an ice weapon, one-handed weapon or something, get in close. Just watch out for her hand slam, and you'll be all right.
So I've that hand slam. She'll only do it if you are within range. If you're like to her sides, she'll sweep it around behind her. But if you are in front of her, she'll slam it again. She'll hit you, slam it once, and then slam it again. But if you're absolutely behind her and she can't reach you, she will instead stop and turn to face you. So you could exploit that easily whenever that move comes up.
Agreed.
Another troublesome move, Another troublesome move is the Arm of Set. Basically, you count to 3 right when the arms come down, and continue to count to 3 every time you see the hands disappear back underground. And that, if you've ever watched me fight Eva, you're very well familiar with the 1, 2, 3 trick.
Yes,
Painfully familiar with the 1, 2, 3 trick.
We've all become the Count from the Muppets. 1, 2, 3. So I think of that every time you're counting. I'm like, oh man, I just want him to count like the Count in the Muppets, and everything will be good with the world. But
1 sandy grab, 2 sandy grab, 3 sandy grab from the floor,
Oh man, yeah, it is. That is a really good counting trick, though, because if you don't count, the only thing you have to rely on is the audio cue of the swooshes of when they go into the ground, and it's more of a feel, and that's not really a good way to go about it. Counting to 3 is definitely the preferred method.
She does have still some more troublesome attacks, though. The Sands of Depravity, the big sand pillars that erupt from the ground. It only happens in phase 2, so you don't got to worry about it at the start of the fight. But she leads off phase 2 immediately with that attack. The safe spot is usually directly in the center of the arena, so just ignore her and point your camera at the ground to make sure you're in a safe zone.
And dodge like crazy, because you are guaranteed to be slow mobility if you are in the storm. So you have to get out, find the middle of the 4 pillars. They spawn in like an X shape. So if you there's 4 corners, I guess you could say, and if you go to the middle, it's usually where she is. Not always, but it's kind of around her typically. And you go towards her and dodge like crazy. You should get out of it. There's enough time. It's just you have to react immediately.
So phase 2 also has another attack. There's a AoE get away from me kind of sand wave attack where she just blasts these sand waves in every direction. And originally I had a lot of trouble because I could never find a good angle. It seems like every time I lined up, I'd always be just ever so slightly off and get hit with a sand wave. But I have since learned that if you just get close to her, and as soon as you see the sand come up from her feet, dodge, and you'll iframe the blast, never get hit by it again. Gymnasts hate him. Learn his one simple trick. But the other one, the Volatile Storm, where a bunch of sand waves come from the outside edge of the arena and then crash into the center. I hate that. I hate that one so much. I've died to that move so many times. Honestly,
yeah, and I died typically the
only method I've.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. No, I was just saying that, like, the only reliable method I've found is to just get out of the center of the arena. If you're up against the sides, close to where the sand like starts running along the edge, you have a higher chance of not getting caught in the explosion in the center.
Yeah, I can miss the explosion, but I always get hit by the side-swiping blades coming along the edge. I always get hit by those. I just can't get through them. That's the worst for me.
See, it's bad if they catch you right before the center. They'll stagger you, and you can't dodge or get out of the way, and you're just exploded and covered in sand, and it's just a bad time.
Yeah. Sand gets everywhere.
Honestly, yeah. No, stop! I'm stopping you there. I'm stopping you there. No, this is not becoming prequel memes.
I couldn't resist.
No. Okay. Well, honestly, long and short of it, you're gonna need to practice this dodging the spells and learning the tells. She's weak to poison, so you can give that a shot. Since the fight's probably gonna drag on, since you gotta dodge spells constantly. poisoning her lets you dodge and deal damage at the same exact time. Yeah, it's not a lot, but it's still worth something. She's immune to inhibit though, so that idea is out the window, and she only has moderate resistance to stun and slow. So yeah, just poison her. Poison, ice, slash. That's the way to take her down.
Yeah, and don't get real creative with the resistances. Just stick to ice slash, and you'll be okay.
Yeah, she doesn't deal any elemental damage herself. It's all physical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something like Juggernaut would be great.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. Just go berserk and rush her.
So, Eva, it's sad to leave this boss fight. I would love to talk about it more. But in the distance, you see the Crypt Spire and the Government Center. And from Eva's fight, we head into the Crypt Spire, and we find 2 bosses all at one time, and then a third. So it's pretty amazing that they jammed them all in there. But we find the Blade Bearer and Cannoneer first, and then we find Juzo Mito immediately after them. There is no time for reprieve. And the first ones we come up to is the Blade Bearer and Cannoneer. And the 2 words that I can say that would describe these 2 together is just elemental resistances. That's all you need to know, basically. Would you agree,
yeah.
Pseudo?
Agreed, wholeheartedly. Stack all of the elemental resist, all of the ice, all of the fire, and you'll have a significantly easier time. Like, even pulling out one of the blood veils you transformed earlier, either Nicola or Emily, will make a huge difference in the fight. Plus, you have access to Elemental Wall, and you should have both of the other Elemental Resist spells. So, the difference between stacking all of that and not is pretty substantial.
Yeah. I don't know how people get into that fight and they don't know about elemental resistances at that point in the game, because there's so many different things that you can have access to at that point. It's really, really, really worth it to go for the elemental resistances, because if you don't, it's a little better than Aurora, but there's still a lot of things to pay attention to, because the Blade Bearer is like everywhere. She's like the shadow. Yeah, she's just everywhere. And then the Cannoneer is just a mountain of health that if you go for him first, you're going to be sideswiped all the time by the Blade Bearer. And if you don't have the elemental resistances, everything's a one-shot. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. I always mention that the Blade Bearer and Cannoneer fight is a knowledge checkpoint more than anything else. Because you need to know how important elemental resistances and buffs are. Rather than just dealing a whole pile of damage, you got to think about defense as well. There is no phase 2, thankfully. There's just a single phase for both of them. One where they're both alive, and one where one of them's dead. Pure and simple. Blade Bearer is the only one that can be parried, and I've tried this extensively. Cannoneer just punches you in the face. He doesn't care that you're trying to parry. He just punches you.
Well, he's
or
so
tries
big.
to light you on fire. He's not fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. From that perspective, that is fair. You couldn't parry Nicola's punches either, so that's fair. Cannoneer, worse than being a mountain of health, he also resists all elements. Blade Bearer, on the other hand, does not resist blood or lightning, only ice. So, but may Io have mercy on your soul if you try to use ice on her. You're gonna have a very unpleasant time.
Mm-hmm.
Might as well just stick with pure physical.
Well, I mean, he doesn't resist ice.
Oh yeah, but you got to take down Blade Bearer at some point.
Yeah.
I'm imagining a future where somebody has made a one-handed sword that's been transformed to ice, and they're trying to hack away at her.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, no thanks. The nice thing is, though, they only resist their respective element by 40%, whereas a lot of the other bosses in the game, they resist elements up to like 70% and stuff. So it's still a huge amount of resist, don't get me wrong, but they still can be fought easily enough, I guess you could say. But for the Blade Bear, I mean,
okay.
it's just go all out on everything else other than ice, and on him, same thing. Just go for all the ice you can on him, all the fire on her, and you should be good to go.
Mm-hmm.
Except for the dodging like crazy all over the arena. I found that.
See, that's where.
Go ahead.
Oh, that's where parrying Blade Bearer can come in handy. Her 3-hit combo, you can either parry the second or the third slash, and she does it pretty frequently. She just likes to get in there and chop your face up. So you can take advantage of that aggression by parrying her. And that gives you a bonus I-Core. It gives you a nice break where you can heal or cast your buffs again. Other things you need to watch out for is the delayed slash with the ice wave. That will blindside you from across the arena. So you gotta pay attention if she's charging up that dash slash, that dash thrust.
Yeah, one thing I found to kind of make sure that you're being able to engage them on your own terms, I do a thing called what I played in soccer, where you spread the field, and if you put a lot of distance between you and them, like pull them over to one corner of the arena and then you run to the other side, it'll force the cannoneer to literally just kind of walk over to you. Sometimes he'll run, but if he's on a slow walk, she'll take a while to. She'll also slow walk, and that'll give you a good amount of time to get a buff going or something, or get some damage on her from distance or something like that. And it's a good way to kind of reset their onslaught, because they both kind of take a reprieve and then they reset into their rhythm as soon as they get close to you again. That's always been one of my strategies of how I go about engaging them, instead of like all up in their face all at one time, because I can't do the parries. I guess I could if I tried for another 100 hours to parry them, but I just never got good at parries.
Oh, I highly recommend it. It is very entertaining to go for it.
But you need the skill for it.
Yeah, you do. So for Cannoneer's dangerous attacks, he's got his overhead fist smash, his constant flamethrower stream, and his ground blast. So we talked about the flame pool and that ground blast a little bit earlier. It's only really, really dangerous if your buffs go down. Otherwise, you can actually use it as a way to get away from Blade Bearer. The explosion will knock you down, and her flurry of slashes will miss.
Oh,
so intentionally eating one of those, if you have all of your buffs up, actually not a terrible idea. If you've got more than 160 fire, that ground blast won't hurt you. But if your buffs go down, oh boy, that sets up for a real nasty combo.
Then you go down as well. That's just how it's gonna be.
Yeah.
So after these two, you beat your way through them with elemental resistances, and then you come up the stairs, and you are entreated to enjoy the company of one Juzo Mito. This guy.
That guy.
I thought, personally, he was the end of the game, because he was such a good villain, like doing experiments on people and a lot of unethical things, and I was like, oh, this has to be the end, right? And nope. He was just an appetizer for moving towards the end of the game, but he definitely is a very difficult boss.
Well, he made a giant mess, and we got to clean up after him. He is incredibly difficult. I hate him so much, and I am realizing my hate for him the more I play Code Vein.
Oh, yeah? He's just getting worse and worse.
He is just getting worse and worse. Him and the Lord of Thunder are two of the absolute worst bosses in the whole entire game. I hate him. I hate him so much.
See,
hey there, Red Army.
And I wasn't ever able to figure out the one-shot for him in max difficulty until actually I was on the road to 100 when I found it. And it was such a relief that I actually could just move through him easily enough if I wanted to, because he just, yeah, for me, the more I have to fight Mito, the more I die inside every time.
More I die on the outside. Like, this guy just kills me all the time. He's got very high physical damage in phase 1. He's got very high blood damage in phase 2. He can be parried, but oh no, do not do this. That is a quick way to an early grave. You're trying to parry him in either phase is not a good idea. Thank God he's only got 2 phases.
Yeah. And if, I mean, if you'd get the parry, that's great. But if you miss the parry, like, it's all over. Like, you're inhibited, you're smashed, you're chopped in half. I mean, it's all kinds of bad things happen.
Yeah. Just don't even try to parry. Coming from the parry king of Code Vein, do not try to parry. This is not my decree.
But if you're going for any kind of damage, I would advise just going for Crush. Overall, he's only got a 10% resist to Crush, and it goes up to 15% in phase 2. There's really nothing else that really even comes close to being good, but definitely go for Crush as much as possible. On the highest difficulty, he's got 108,800 health, and so in order to get through that, you need to do huge amounts of damage quickly enough, because yeah, if you hang out for a long time, you will pay for it and regret it.
That's too much health.
Yeah.
Any amount of health is too much health for Mito.
Now, fortunately he does have a stagger, a hard stagger where he kneels down, and that is a great time. If you're lucky, you'll get it twice, but he does have one guaranteed hard stagger through both phase 1 and 2. If you get it before phase 2, then it's guaranteed to happen or it's potential to happen in phase 2. But if you don't get it in phase 1, you're guaranteed to get it in phase 2. So you can kind of count on that. But that is a great time to get a huge amount of damage in, and just really put it to him. Whether you're doing poison or whether you're doing, just regular physical attack or doing gifts or whatever. What do you think, Pseudo?
I think I want to talk about somebody else. I hate Mito so much. I wish I could contribute more, but he just always destroys me. He is weak to both poison and slow, and moderate resistance to inhibit, and regrettably, he's completely immune to stun. You can't have Shaky Mito, unfortunately. As great as that would be, as much as he's tormented me, tormenting him back would be such delicious revenge, but alas, it is not so.
Nope. DeathKiller, how did you do on Mito when you went through the game?
Well, considering how much Pseudo absolutely loves Mito and all of his great actions, I would definitely say Mito and
Oh,
sorry,
we good?
Mito and
we all right?
oh, there you are.
Oh,
Did you cut out?
hey.
All right. I'm not sure, but like I was saying, until God said no. I found Mito and probably the entirety of the Crypt Spire my most favorite part. Not to play, but to watch.
Oh, really?
I'm looking at you, Pseudo.
Oh. Well, there's gonna be a lot of fighting Mito in the future.
Every time we've gone to both Smo and Ornstein and Mito, oh, it was a wonderful time. But as for my playthrough with Mito, I mean, I first tried him, but it was definitely something.
You never let me forget that. Yeah.
Yeah. I would just let that sit. Yeah.
Well, I've got
sit there.
48 more times to fight Mito on the road to 100, so we'll be seeing him again for sure.
Yeah, that's not counting bonus stuff.
I know.
Bonus playthroughs.
I didn't find Mito's inhibit too much of an issue since I was pretty much strictly combat. I didn't use gifts as much. Maybe the regular buff here and there, but for the most part, he was fine. He had a few abilities that were just like took me a second to get down and pat. Especially his great big dash that he does at an angle.
Oh yeah, that one can very close to one-shot you if you're too low level, or if you're in New Game Plus, it will one-shot you if he connects with both the dash and the diagonal slash. Yeah, that's GG. That's lights out.
Yeah, I'm surprised I even beat him with all his laughing.
Oh yeah, good old chuckles.
He does laugh a lot. He doesn't think that it's
for good reason.
particularly funny that you're fighting him, but he laughs at your attack.
He thought it was pretty funny fighting Pseudo.
Yeah. when Pseudo was using the Rubelite Piercer to fight him. That was an entertaining
don't
fight.
Don't remind me. Don't remind me. I was so dumb. I should have just sucked it up and farmed out some extra titanium. Because trying to poke him to death with a +6 Rubelite Piercer was miserable.
I would have loved to know Mito's thought process as he's seen a revenant walk in with a slimy stripper's pole just sliding across the ground.
That one was actually pretty fun. That one was pretty fun. He was like, "Why is she going all over the place? I'm not safe anywhere." Yeah, now you know how we feel, Mito.
Yeah. Oh man.
No, his combo will continue basically indefinitely. If you're in front of him, he'll keep swinging at you.
Yeah, he is not a he is an unrelenting force. That is absolutely what Mito is. He's high pressure, high intensity, and you really need to know where his windows are. Otherwise, it's just game over quickly.
He is quite the agent of chaos in Rage Quits.
Yeah, he is. He most certainly is. Can confirm.
So after Mito,
I'm sure you can.
And he turns to dust. Then we move into the government outskirts, where we find the reskinned and repositioned of weaknesses, reapportioned, I guess we could say, the weaknesses of the Queen's Knight and into the Queen's Knight Reborn. And this guy, he has most of the moves of all the Queen's Knight. So if you skipped the Queen's Knight accidentally on your first playthrough, then, which probably you didn't, but if you did, then this will be a new boss, and you'll be like, whoa, he's crazy. But if you fought the Queen's Knight, this guy is literally just a souped up, well, actually, it's more of a changed up version of the Queen's Knight.
Same trick of stacking blood resistance works in both versions, though. He does very high blood damage, so if you can mitigate that with a Blood Guard and with Queen's Knight Reborn, you'll have access to Elemental Wall. He does significantly less damage. Toss in some Iron Will, and you can negate a pretty healthy amount of his attack power.
And since you pick up the Ivory Grace, as weird as it is, you do pick up the Ivory Grace in the outskirts, and if you use Blood Guard, Elemental Wall, and a Blood Barrier Tonic, you can have that 160 blood resist, and you can actually be completely invincible, which is hilarious, again, that they give you the Veil and the resistances to make the boss not do any damage to you. So Emily and the Queen's Knight Reborn are two that you should never struggle with.
Oh, it is slightly challenging because I'm the type of person that hoards my items, and so I always forget about Blood Barrier Tonics. That would be way better than Iron Will, in all honesty.
But Iron Will, is a reduction, so I mean it can help. For the 10 damage he'll do to you, it'll drop it down to 7.5.
Right. So Queen's Knight Reborn is weak to Ice, Lightning, and Slash. So time to bust out Aurora Flash and Jupiter's Edge.
Jupiter's Blade.
Oh, Jupiter's Blade? I thought it was Jupiter's... Oh, okay, whatever. No, I'm thinking Dusk Edge.
Oh,
That's the blood one. Don't do that one. Don't do Dusk Edge. Don't Don't do that one.
He
That's
has a
bad idea.
40% resist to blood, so you don't want to be doing that at all.
Yeah, no way.
But yeah, definitely go for slash against him. That is ideal.
You know, considering he's like made of these like partially fused plates, I always kind of thought that Crush would be good against him. Oh well.
Nope, unfortunately not. Crush is good versus the first one though, the Queen's Knight, and so then they flip it on you and they make the Reborn a slash boss instead of a Crush boss. So kind of, it's interesting how they reskin and redo all his resistances completely the opposite of what he was when he was just the Queen's Knight during Operation Queenslayer.
Would you say that the stagger benefits of using Crush type damage makes up for the at least in some way?
Yes.
The decrease in damage?
Yes, absolutely. If you're doing like a Crush sword or something, where like maybe a stun Crush sword, then that could do really, really well because you can even stagger him out of his phase transition, which is ideal.
You know, I'd always go with either a slow or a poison one, since he's weak to slow and poison. He only has moderate resistance to stun.
Mm-hmm. But the cool thing is that you can
immune to inhibit. Yeah,
you can stack the debuffs on him, slow poison and stun, and it actually makes him a very simple boss because he can't move real fast. He's poisoned, taking constant damage, and if you have opportunism active while he's poisoned, because that lasts 30 seconds, it gets you time to get the other debuffs going of stun and slow, and so you can always almost guaranteed have him have some kind of status debuff, so you get basically a free 25% increase to your damage for really no extra effort.
Oh, that's nice. That's a good strategy. I'm gonna have to give that one a shot.
Yeah, if you go for like the executioner,
I think I did it.
It's a really good. It's a really good way to go about it.
Nice. Well, you don't have access to opportunism that early in the game, but
no.
By Queen's Knight Reborn, you should be able to teleport around and complete Gustav's side quest for it. I'm
always thinking max difficulty.
Out. I think fresh starts. I think in terms of fresh starts.
That's why we complete
have
each
wonderful
other.
news though. You could parry Queen's Knight Reborn. Yes. On to my expertise in the fight. You can absolutely.
You can parry him. I cannot.
Oh, all right. Okay. If you want to go with that perspective, well, he can also parry you back though. So
yes,
maybe parrying is just best avoided. If he does his little stance where he holds up his shield, do not hit the shield or you will be parried, and he gets a free shot on you, and it hurts.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you're doing it wrong and all your buffs are on cooldown, then it hurts. The spin slash needs to be backstep dodged away from in phase 1 and in phase 2. And in phase 2, he'll teleport behind you before he actually fires it off. So the trick is you stay locked onto him, and when he teleports away, you wait for your character to flip around before the camera does, and then you just tap B. You tap the dodge button rather than try to hold the correct direction, because sometimes it might not even work. So you just wait for your character, because they're still locked on, they'll flip around. And when you see your character flip around, you just backstep dodge. And that's how you can easily get away from that one. And yeah, it has the same property as before. If you're up against a wall and you can't get away in time, you're going to need frame perfect dodging to get in between the two slashes of that spin slash. And it's not advised to try.
No, you can
might
get
a
it.
lucky Hail Mary.
Yeah, you can get it, but yeah, if you miss it, then yeah, you're on the ground or dead, one or the other, or both. But he also does have a cross court dodge dash that it has a very interesting mechanic about it, that if you are closer than half of the dodge towards him, then you will be hit by an unblockable. If you are further away, then you can block the pierce attack that he comes at you with and the spin ender. Also, if you're behind him when he does that, you will be hit by the unblockable portion of it as well. It has a small AoE around it when he does the first charge up and does the immediate dash across. So, what?
No, I was just going, like he just rockets off.
It sounded like something
Sorry,
happened.
I was just making sound effects.
Okay, thank you. I like the sound effects. And so you definitely want to watch your positioning when he's doing the cross-court slash. That's all.
See, now I actually didn't know about that. I just thought it was always unblockable. Now with I guess you could kind of, in my mind, I can picture it as him losing momentum after like half the arena's distance, and so that's why you can actually block it. Yeah. But you are going to get hit with the spin. If you're that far away, he is going to hit you with the spin.
Correct. But you can block the spin, fortunately. So if you're running this Y or something.
Oh yeah, definitely. The dangerous moves, same song, second verse. Just dodge to the left, and you'll be fine. Look out for the shield bash. He always do a little like a little half step before he punches you with it. So make sure you are holding left and dodge appropriately.
Yep.
Besides that, just keep away from the white back girls.
They're
very dangerous.
Brutal.
Use a camouflage, use a sound suppressor, or just run away from them. Don't even try to fight them. They're mean. They're real mean. They're like him. They do a lot of blood damage, and it hurts.
Yeah, the shield bash from them is just miserably quick, and it'll catch you off guard most of the time. And they're like the mini warm-up for him.
Yeah. See, now the trick for getting through their shield bash is to actually dodge directly into it, because they have a follow-up slash and a follow-up poke that can kill you if you dodge backwards from the shield bash. So they knew what they were doing. You need to dodge directly into the bad girls. And left for Queen's Knight Reborn.
Very good. Very good. The next one.
Nobody's ever died. Yeah, nobody's ever died to Frenzied Attendant, so we can just skip it. Nobody's ever died. Ever. Nobody's ever died to Frenzied Attendant, and me too.
It feels kind of like
she only has
sad, doesn't it, when you do?
Yeah.
Like, I shouldn't have died to this, but oh well.
I died during the one-handed sword challenge to Frenzied Attendant. Man,
oh, really?
I was so disappointed. Yeah. Yeah. She only has one phase. She can be parried, believe it or not. She can be parried. Yeah. And she's got really weird resistances. Like, I have a hard time wrapping my head around.
Yeah, so on her, all her physical stuff is a flat 30%, which is crazy that it's that high, but that's offset by her very, 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 very low HP amounts, because in 0 star, when you first encounter her, she's only got 15,200 HP, which is the smallest amount except for Oliver in the entire game. So she's the second lowest HP in the game, and then on max difficulty, she's only up there at 31,680 HP, and so she's got extremely low amounts of health. That's less than half of Oliver's HP in max difficulty. So she really, really, really doesn't have the HP to stand up to it. So they gave her huge, crazy resistances, which I guess that's fitting, but she's a lot easier than you think she would be.
Yeah, but because she is like Io, she has access to the Eos blood code, which includes elemental wall, and the way her elemental wall works is just bonkers. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, it's a
I'll just come out and say it.
It's a variable resist. So if you've ever encountered her and used, let's say she applies that elemental wall effect, and then let's say you're using like ice spike or frost spike, you can shoot it into her like 4, 5, 6 times, and you'll get a different value every time. Because her elemental wall is variable in how it operates. So it can go anywhere from 0 to 100% resist, and so it can be ineffective, or it can be something that blocks all damage all at the same time. So it's never really advised to do element resistances to it, but you can get lucky and get through the elemental wall. But the best element to go for against her is blood, believe it or not, at only a 10% resist, and her elemental wall does not affect blood resist. So it's always 10%, and you can mitigate 10% resist pretty easily. When you have things like Dusk Edge or not Execution yet on a first playthrough, but you have Sanguine Roar, and you have some pretty good blood gifts like Draconic Stake or whatever, and those can do very, very, very good damage to her overall, especially if you're running like gifts only Merciless Reaper. Basically her physical resist type goes away, and then all you have to deal with is the 10% blood resist. So anyways, she's definitely one of the weirder ones in her resistances.
But on the bright side, she's weak to poison, inhibit, and slow, with a moderate resistance to stun. So you can really very quickly status her to death or use an opportunism build against her. Like that's the reason why it hurts to die to her. It's because there's so many different options that are effective.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you just always expect the quick thrust after every attack except her spells and the explosion swing, you'll be fine. That's the only time the quick thrusts do not come out. Any other time, you should always expect her to pause for a second and then stab you in the face. Because that's what will happen.
Yeah, she does have some pretty quick follow-ups if you're not aware of them and if you're not ready for them. Because her attack strings don't stop. They just keep coming. And the nice thing is, though, that you can interrupt her by doing two attacks, like 2 pokes from a spear or something. Every 2 attacks will put her into a stagger. So if you just keep the onslaught going, she won't be able to do anything.
Yeah, if you've got a partner with you, you can 2v1 her and just ping pong her back and forth when she won't have an opportunity to do much of anything.
So she's one of the weirdest,
yes,
but one of the easiest, but one of the strangest kind of boss fights in the game. And I think they made it that way so that way you kind of feel bad for it.
Yeah, I could see that.
Like it hurts you to kill her, I guess. I don't know. Like you don't want to kill her or something, but
it's like a mercy killing, putting her down for her own good.
So we have a question here: how to deal with her in the Tower of Trials? So when you're facing 2 of them, so the best way is bayonets, as doing pierce damage from a distance, because they have to run towards you and they don't have anything to do at range. That's what I've found to be the best. What do you guys think?
For me, I always went with poison. You can do Blood Guard, Elemental Wall, and Venom Shot, and stay locked onto one of them. And if you just consistently poison that one over and over and over again, you can get back into that ping pong situation I was talking about earlier, where it's a 2v1 instead of a 2v2. If you just repeatedly keep focusing down the one, you should do pretty good. And you can have Iron Will to fill out the rest, or you can use Blood Barrier Tonics to help offset the blood damage she does deal with the Damarung. Even though the blood, that's more for when she buffs up with the blood weapon. That's when you really get big value out of Blood Guard and Elemental Wall.
Yeah, because it transforms all of her damage into blood, which is excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not excellent if she hits you, but...
Well, yeah, if your buffs are down and she hits you, it's not great. True. Because there is no blood veil.
I know.
That'd
still
be kind of
burns me.
silly. Yeah, that'd be kind of silly sounding though. Just make a blood whale.
A blood. I'm not even gonna try it. I'm not even
A
gonna try it.
blood veil.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's hard. It's hard. It's really easy to stumble over the sets of words.
So then in the government center, after we run over the frenzied attendant, we come to one of the final bosses in the game. We come to the Skull King, where we had a fun time with the frenzied attendant, kind of bullying her around. And then you get to the Skull King, where he bullies you around. And this guy is the master of transitions, the master of anime pose, the master of buff up, and the more damage he takes, the more powerful he gets. So he's definitely an intriguing fight. And I don't want to spoil it, but he does have one interesting weakness that I will be showing you guys tomorrow in the Road to 100. So make sure you tune in for that and watch the fight with the Skull King, because we do abuse him pretty hard. So I won't say anything about it here, but keep that in mind with this conversation as you watch tomorrow. Anyways, back to the Skull King.
I still got to beat him in Tower of Charles 3, so I am definitely tuning in.
Oh, well, you may not be able to take advantage of it, but
it's one of those things, huh? One of those got to use a weapon things, huh?
It's a very specific. Very specific.
All right, so. No, I see you. I'm not going to get any information out of you. Okay, I'll stop trying. Ooh, that was a thunder strike right outside my house. A lightning strike.
Hopefully we don't lose you.
It'll be fine. I counted the flash and the sound of the thunder, and it's on the edge of town. It's getting closer, but it's on the edge of town. I think I'll be fine.
I live at high.
We don't got much more to go.
I live at high elevation, so I can't count the seconds anymore. It's a different speed of sound.
Huh. The air's less dense. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got 5, or is it 6 phases? Counting.
So I always count it as 5, but some can say 6. It just depends on how you start the counting.
Right. But he's got pretty hefty elemental resistances, especially against blood. And then in the final phase, he gets it basically doubles.
Yeah.
And the blood resist goes up to 90%.
It's crazy.
They didn't want to make him completely immune to blood, but they wanted to make it very clear that blood does not work on him.
Well, I mean, to be honest, did you look around in the arena?
Yeah, he does. He does, like, summon the power of all of the blood everywhere.
Yeah, he's got more than his fair share.
Resist it. Yeah, that's one way of putting it. Yeah, that's one way of putting it. And worse still is that he's immune to all status debuffs. So goodbye poisoning him and running away. That's not going to work.
Yeah, that is really sad when you get to him and you've been running like a status debuff up, through the whole game at a certain point, and then you're like, oh, I can't do anything against him. So it literally is just a hack and slash, and get good, read him, and get to the end. Otherwise, there's just not really anything gonna go on there.
But we've got some tricks on how to read him better.
Do we?
We do. You always want to expect the dual overhead slam attack in every phase after the first one. Like, whenever he powers up for the very first time, he will end his combos with that dual overhead slam, where he just slams both swords straight down on top of your head. And do not be tricked, because there is a delay to it if he decides to delay it. You always want to wait for that. And once you learn that little trick, you're never going to be, you won't be caught off guard as often. You can still be caught off guard if you get greedy, but wait for the double overhead slam, chop at him twice with a quick weapon or once with a slow weapon, and then back off.
Yep.
And then once he gets down to half health, there will be blood trails, so you got to stick close to him and avoid all of his stuff.
Either very close or very far. Either one of those. There is
Yeah.
no middle ground anymore. He takes that away
Yeah.
from you.
Yeah, and it gets worse. In the final phase, those blood trails start exploding, so it's basically get far away from him.
So he combines
basically
Nito's
get away
attacks
from him.
and his own attacks, combined with, you know, full arena attacks, and yeah, final phase is like, wow. He in the final phase he gets a 30% resist to all physical damage types, and that 90% blood resist, and a 40% on the other elemental phase, or the elemental resists, and so he has a huge amount of damage resist in phase 5, I guess, or the final phase that lasts 12.5% of his health, and it is crazy how hard just that section of his health is to actually get through. Now, it's possible to actually skip that final phase if you time the hard stagger where he kneels down in phase 4, or just before that final phase, and if you can continue to deal the damage through that time, then you can actually skip that entire final phase and his phase transition and everything. So there's some good advantage to be had there if you can get that, but it's not guaranteed.
Yeah, that's hard. That's counting a lot, and that's way too many swings to count for me. Yeah, the most important thing, since this fight goes on for a good long while, is the healing opportunities. You can only really heal after that same dual overhead slam. The cross chop into leaping slam and the spin slash. Those are your best options for healing, because those are his combo enders. And otherwise, he can swing 2 times, he can swing 3 times, he can do like blood attacks. It's you got to be on your toes.
Yeah, and all of his combos
those.
kind of start in the same way, but the ender is kind of where he can confuse you, because they start the same, they look the same, but then the combo enders are where the variety comes into his play, because it could be, like you said, 2 swings, 3 swings, 4 swings. He could end them and like attack cancel into a different string of attacks. So there is quite a bit of variety, but you can block all of his attacks, fortunately enough, except for the leaping slam that you were talking about. That one is unblockable. The double cross slash where he jumps and does both swords to the side. That attack is completely unblockable, so you need to watch for that. And if you can watch for that and you know when it's going to happen, then you're golden. There's not really much to worry about. But that's if you're blocking.
Coincidentally, I've never tried to block Skull King.
Oh, really?
I've always tried to I've always just tried to dodge him, because I was so bad at predicting when he would end. I just learned how to cast him to death, and I always have the easiest time casting him to death rather than blocking. I know, strange. The proponent of blocking for Gilderoy the Golden Boy, and I've never blocked I haven't blocked Skull King.
Okay, next time you run through the game, that's what you have to do.
I will.
That'll
you can't stop. Can't convince me otherwise.
And that'll give you a healthy appreciation for it.
Now we get on to the friendliest boss in the entire game, Virginborn. He's friendly to me, at least. It's friendly to me, at least. He's
and
friendly to me, at least.
Not friendly.
What are the pronouns for an insect creature?
Well, I don't know. Whatever.
All right.
I don't know.
It has 2 phases and cannot be parried. I mean, it's massive. Come on, let's be honest. There's no parrying that.
No, definitely not.
And as casters would find out, it can be a very, very hard fight because of a 70% elemental resistance. I always thought it was 80%, but after consulting with Revenant Owen here, then yes, we have concluded it is 70. Except for blood, and that's where I start getting really confused.
Yeah, it has a 70% resist to blood everywhere, even including the body. So it has a 70% resist all over the place, except for the front lock-on point. That has a 20% elemental resist, but it still retains that 70% blood resist on the body portion. So no blood, I mean, that should be kind of obvious again, but if it's not, definitely don't do any blood. And if you're doing element casting, make sure you go for the front lock-on point and hit under the body, in that chest cavity kind of, I guess, area, the rib cage kind of area. In that section of the boss, it has a 20% elemental resist, so you can do some really, really good damage casting if you're up in that area. But other than that, you don't want to hit it in any other part of the body.
Or you could just, use sand spells, because they're all physical damage. You don't got to worry about any kind of resistance.
Yep.
You don't got to worry about any resistance at all.
That is very true. And that is one of the great things you can do, is you do have gifts from Harmonia and Queen's Throat that have no resist, or no element resist. So that's really, really good.
Sand blast a new coat of paint onto that Virgin-born monstrosity.
For all of the rest of the attacks, they are all physical attacks. The only kind of element attack that it has are the thorns from Purging Thorn, which you get from the Queen Blood Code. Those are a blood attack. So if you are stacking Blood Resist and Foul Blood Barrier and Iron Will and the Damarung Iron Will and a friendly Foul Blood Barrier and Yakumo's Foul Blood Barrier, it's possible to withstand one of the thorns on max difficulty, but otherwise you will be annihilated by those things.
Yeah, they can be quite dangerous. I came up with a different tactic, though. It's run to the nearest wall and put your butt against it and block with something huge. Yes. You don't even need to have it fully upgraded. You just need to have something big and hefty that can block the damage for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you pray and hope you don't get hit by too many thorns.
Yeah, that is definitely a good way to do it. The Zwei coming in clutch again to block and mitigate those. Very excellent.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you don't have a giant weapon, and if you're quick mobility, you can dodge into the wall and time your dodges by when you come out of the iframes of the dodge, and you can also miss all of the thorns coming down on you in phase 2.
Ooh, but that makes me so scared. Doing it that way, it scares me.
It is very scary. But it's possible to miss all of them, but it's also possible to get hit by all of them. So pick your poison.
Speaking of iframes, you could try running behind Virgin-born and spamming Vanishing Hollow or Shifting Hollow. Although mileage may vary. Like you might get incredibly lucky every time you try it, or you might just get completely screwed with where these thorns are falling, because Virgin-born likes to spin as it flies up into the air to launch these thorns at you.
Right.
So yeah, it can be very problematic sometimes.
Yeah, the moral of the story is whatever works for you, definitely do that, because she's got many different ways to take you out, and the best thing to do is get up underneath her, do the damage to the body, and then if when you see her rear up in the air, dodge out or block out. She does have several unblockable attacks. Her body slam, her fist slam, these kinds of things, they are unblockable. And a lot of her attacks have 2 hitboxes to them, and so that makes it even worse to try and block or dodge away, because you might miss the first hitbox, but then you might be hit by the second. Her her power stance explosion is one of those that has two shockwaves going out, and you can dodge one and be hit by the other, or you can dodge both, or you can be hit by both and die. So it's one of those where Shifting Hollow or Vanishing Hollow, as you mentioned, Pseudo, is far superior to dodging.
Or like running away and praying you're far enough away. You might as well use Vanishing Hollow or Shifting Hollow and remove the doubt.
That too. But the Virgin Born is definitely one of the. I mean, I think it's a pretty worthy ending boss. I think it's a worthy final boss of a game like this. I think it definitely is something that, if you don't have everything understood, it really will punish you severely.
It is a quite bombastic fight, isn't it, though?
Yeah, very, very, very. And I still struggle with it to this day. I mean, it's not something that I just absolutely waltz in and say like, oh, guaranteed win. Unless I'm running the Black Greatsword, then it's just completely over in a matter of seconds. So
the legendary Stagger Lock Greatsword.
Oh my goodness! On my level 1 run, it was like I built the entire game for just that sword and just Fion, and it was a joke. And I'm glad I did, because it just I ran in, first tried it, and it was like, yep, this is what this sword was designed to do, was just destroy her, because the blood pillars that come out of it do crush damage. And as you were mentioning earlier with the Queen's Knight Reborn, the idea of doing crush damage to stagger, that is taken all the way to 10,000% with her, and or it or whatever. And the Black Greatsword makes very quick work, and especially because when she's staggered, her face is on the ground, and so the face actually has weaker resistances than anywhere else on the body. And so when you get it into stagger state, you can actually do higher damage because you're hitting the face. So really, really good. That is probably one of the most ideal ways to end her, or it, whatever. I always get confused, so I just always end up saying her. I don't know why. But it's one of the best ways to take it out, just because of the fact that it just continues to stagger over and over and over and over.
All right, and that's done it.
And that brings us through all of the... Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, all the vanilla bosses.
And do we want to...
got the 3 DLCs.
Do we want to run through the DLCs real quick?
We can give like Spark Notes, Cliff Notes version.
Sure, I think we have a little bit of time here.
Whichever you prefer.
DeathKiller, did you ever run through the DLCs?
Unfortunately, no, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't. Have you watched the DLCs with Pseudo or myself or anything?
I experienced vicariously through Pseudo when the DLCs dropped.
Oh, okay. Nice. That was more than a year ago. Wow. About a year and a half ago.
Level 1. Oh man, it was fun.
Oh jeez. Yeah, so the first one there, we have the Hellfire Knight. He came in DLC 1. And the best thing you want to be doing against him is Pierce Lightning, which sounds weird, but that's how it is. And you would think that you would want to do Ice, but you definitely do not want to be doing Ice versus him. Obviously no fire, and you can't do any status effects on him either. But Pierce Lightning, yeah. But I guess that's good. I never found a superior use for it, because you don't have any inhibit gifts. You have like you do stun shot, venom shot, slow shot, those kinds of things. They didn't do anything for inhibit, which is weird. So you don't have like inhibit trap or anything like that, so it's kind of sad. But lightning pierce, if you got lightning pierce, you'll be doing well, and that is the effective way to kill him and put him down.
Blast bolt spam, let's go.
Blast bolt, fourfold verdict, lightning barrage, lightning spike. Yep, all those are just absolutely fantastic. And if you can get in close anytime you're in close and he's going through his physical melee attack strings, don't attack more than twice before you go into a dodge, because there's enough room for a third attack, but it's risky, and so your dodge will have to be absolutely frame perfect. But if you do two attacks,
very risky.
Then you should be able to dodge out.
Yeah, and of course,
was that your experience as well?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a singular attack with heavier weapons. If you're trying to go for the great sword or hammer, Hellfire version weapons, then you'll want to only attack once instead of twice. Like you have to be very, very, very slow because of his huge health pool. But I think a caster setup, no matter how scuffed, is your best bet.
Agreed. I was surprised when I did gifts only. I only took 4 attempts and I got through him, and I was like, really? I thought that would be way harder, because whenever I go for like a physical build or something, I just do horribly, because I'm always getting slapped around.
Verdict is strong. Yeah. Everybody sleeps on fourfold verdict because it's so expensive, but no, it's quite strong.
Agreed. And he's always 1 star above you for your difficulty. So keep that in mind if you're going against him.
Yeah, that actually applies to all 3 Tower of Trials and the all the DLCs as well. All of the enemies are set to a new game plus cycle beyond your current one. Yep. So he's going to be tough.
Yep.
He's going to be tough no matter when you fight him.
And the second DLC,
and the same can be said for Frozen Empress.
Yep, the Frozen Empress. Yep. She is just weak to fire. That's really all you need to know. Just go for fire. And at that point, you have lots of fire. And especially if you go DLC 1 and then DLC 2, you can really put her down quick.
Yeah, I always called Frozen Empress a raid boss because there's so many mechanics happening during that fight. One of the reasons why you want to do Hellfire Knight first is for the Fire Blender spell. I think it's called Dancing Fireblaze.
Yep.
Fireblade. You want that one and just walk into the little crystals that orbit her, because if you leave those crystals alone, they will start buffing her and filling the arena with deadly laser pylons. It's very bad.
It's horrible. Yeah.
So
Dancing Fireblade and Homing Hellfire are just awesome for her, and they gave them to you in DLC 1 and said you need these for DLC 2. It's like, okay, that's what we're gonna do.
Agreed. So, the idea is you actually want to get Ember Reversal and Dancing Blaze as well. That's right. You've got 2 dancing fire spells.
Yep.
Just spamming all of those spells as much as you possibly can with Chaotic Ash and their Harmonia, Field of Thirst exploit. Like that's the easiest way to kill Frozen Empress. She's got lots and lots of dangerous moves, and just trying to go toe to toe with her is not advised. Just try to go for a stagger with a whole explosion of fire spells, just like an endless string of fire spells as best you can. That is my opinion the easiest way to deal with her.
And on plus 10 difficulty, she's at 321,800 health. She has the most health in the entire game at plus 10 of any boss at all, and she just has bonkers amounts of HP. So you want to do as much damage as possible in plus 10 challenge. So keep that in mind. Okay, so for DLC 3, we have the Lord of Thunder, my least favorite boss in the entire game. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's I don't think it's a Code Vein flavor of boss. But I definitely don't enjoy this guy. I know there's been opinions out there that it's, set up well and it, makes you think and makes you on your toes and whatever, but after playing God Eater and seeing how, you should engage Aragami, and then seeing the Lord of Thunder do basically God Eater stuff in Code Vein, it just doesn't work. But that's just my opinion. I just don't like talking about him, but
it's that chomp, that quick chomp. It's so evil. It comes out so fast. It's so hard to dodge. Getting the lightning pipe, is one of the hardest pipes to get.
Yes.
He's just almost always dealing damage to you.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a charging up mechanic where the color of the
tendrils,
tassels, yeah, tendrils, they will change the more charged up he is, culminating in a gigantic arena-wide attack where he spits thunderbolts everywhere and he runs around like a dog in a small yard. And
mm-hmm.
yeah, it gets very out of control very quickly.
Yeah, I just don't enjoy the fight. The best thing you can go for is one of the best things you can go for is Frost Turret from DLC 2. Because it constantly deals crush damage, and as we've said all night here, Pseudo, about the crush damage doing stagger and stuns, that is ideal for getting him into a stagger state so you can deal other damage along the way. But Freezing Roar and Baba Yaga's Gaze are two really good crush spells that you can go for to actually get through him. But definitely want to be going for Ice all around, all the way. No other option there, but you do have a lot of ice things. Icarus Ice is a good one, but yeah, definitely go for ice against him and just go for crazy amounts of ice. I just don't enjoy that fight at all. Every time I have to think about it, I'm like, no, please, I don't want to do it.
I just remembered one of my favorite attacks. In phase 2, he has a double spin where he'll spin one way and then flip around on you and spin again. The dodge window is so small and so precise to be able to get it both times. It always scares me whenever that move comes up. I'm like, oh god, no!
And some of the lightning lingers around for chip damage.
Yeah, that's the worst.
Yeah, and the backflip comes out so fast in phase 1.
Yeah, he's a tough one. It is a slobber knocker. It's an incredibly difficult fight.
And when I was doing elemental resistances,
my least favorite boss too.
We were up to like 290 lightning resist, and he was still one-shotting me. And so I don't know if there's a elemental resistance that you can go to that actually mitigates his lightning damage. So it's really unfortunate.
They wised up.
Yep.
They caught on.
They said we don't want that happening, so don't go for lightning resist against him. It's a waste of buffs. It's a waste of Ichor. It's a waste of everything. So don't do a lightning veil, and yeah, don't do it. It won't do well for you. So, but
learn from our past mistakes.
Yes. Well, hey, look at this, guys. We made it through an entire stream. Thank you, Router. You've been doing fantastic tonight to send all the bits to the cloud. But DeathKiller, any shout outs, last comments, last calls? If you're still alive in the closet there.
Oh, you were referring to me.
I was.
No, the other DeathKiller, not you.
The other closet.
Oh,
guy.
okay, cool. Oh, neat. When do I get to meet him?
I don't know. I'll have to give him a call.
I wasn't expecting that. I've got no follow up.
I have bested you.
Not again.
Well, Pseudo, any last comments, shout outs from you? Any favorite points? Anything you want to reiterate?
Not really. Like I'm glad that we were finally able to get all of the bosses in 1.5 sittings. So I'll count that as a victory.
Yes.
I'll count that as a victory.
Definitely. Well, thank you everyone, and thank you Pseudo, thank you DeathKiller. It's been great having you guys here. Thank you to the audience and everybody who watches after the fact, if anybody does. So episode 3 will be probably towards the end of October here. If not the first weekend in November, we'll have to see. So stay tuned for that. I'll definitely be I always put out a notice 2 weeks ahead of time, so that way everybody can mark their calendars and know when that's happening. So DeathKiller, thank you for joining us. Next time we will have a different special guest, and we'll be joined by my co-host again, Pseudo, as we continue to field different topics out there. And if you guys have something that especially you want to hear about, you want to hear us blather on about, feel free to put it in any of the videos or in any of the posts that I drop on the channel here. And we'll be visiting a unique topic and probably some questions from the audience as we get into the next episode. So thank you everyone for watching. Stay tuned and keep watching the channel. Make sure you are also following Pseudo and watching along with his runs, as a lot of them are really, really crazy out there, very niche kind of use cases of things. And if you are interested in the math and the mechanics, make sure you guys are tuning in here to kind of follow along with how things operate in the background of Vane. And we kind of cover it all between the two of us. And so if you are interested, make sure you continue watching, and make sure you drop a like and a subscribe to Pseudo as well. I know he hates that, so I'm going to continue to drive that into the ground until Kingdom Come. So thank you, everyone.
Yeah, you keep going on like that. You keep going on like that, not giving me an opportunity to rebuttal.
I will always go on like that.
I see how it is. All right, fine.
That's how it is. That's how it be. So anyways, thank you everyone, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, Pseudo. Thank you, DeathKiller.